I met Kat at a Ford event. What was it, 3, 4 years ago, Kat?
Yeah,
Now?
I think it was summer of 2022 because I was still
Yeah.
in DC. No, I was in Miami at the
You were in
time
Miami at
still.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we met and there was a group of us. Hold on. Yeah, there, thanks, Joss. There was a group of us and we were talking and Kat was there and there was this mystery beat with Kat and now I'm learning it's because she's very much an introvert. And so her and and your friend Candace were talking to us and you were explaining that you guys had worked with Ryan Serhant, and
Mhm.
I knew that Ryan was promoting this branding company that he had built, and you guys were working with that. And I'm a big fan of Ryan Serhant, and so for those of you who don't know Ryan, look him up. But he's probably one of the best brokers and has one of the best name brands. So I'm like, if anybody who's associated with Ryan is talking brand, I made a joke. I was like, well, let me just give you my credit card now because I'm gonna want to work with you guys. And as soon as I said that, we kind of laughed, walked away, and then I think we followed each other on Instagram. And then I asked you one day, like, walk me through what you do. And so that created a series of meetings that I had with Kat to help me really understand and build my brand and who I wanted to be in the marketplace and who I was as an individual. And there's this theory that Kat has talked about that is a lot of us start to do content for the sake of doing content. So everybody else is doing it, so I got to do it because it's the right thing to do. And one of the things she says is like the reason that becomes so hard and why you're running out of content ideas is because you haven't really established who you are and what your values are and what that brand means. And so this really has been a struggle for me personally as I built my brand and who I wanted to be and who I wanted to be known for. And so I said, well, if this is happening with me, why don't I bring somebody who's actually teaching this and has clients and helping people with this to all of you that it might bring you some value. And so I reached out to her and asked her if she would do this, and she's like, "Hell yeah, I'll do it. Like, I'll help you, and not only that, but I'll do this as a series for you for your people as well." So I thought that was really generous of you, Kat. I know your time is very valuable, but what I will tell you, Kat, is that from when we met on that day to who you have become today is nothing short of remarkable. You have grown your audience on Instagram tremendously. You have a really popular, you said 250 episodes on your podcast, which there
Yeah.
were zero when we met. And today you're speaking on all kinds of stages and it's just like I knew when I approached you that whatever I was getting you for at that time it was going to end up being a lot more expensive over time. So I'm glad you took me as a client and became a friend. And so thank you for doing this today. I really appreciate the fact that you'll come in and walk us through what branding means and how we can help impact our lives through building our personal brands.
Thank you, Chris. I probably need to start hiring you to introduce me just anywhere I go. That was such an amazing introduction, and I really appreciate it. Another saying of mine, not just the you don't have a content problem, you have an identity problem, because that's like one of my favorite phrases. Another favorite, an oldie but a goodie, is birds of a feather. And I know that if you're on this call, you know Chris, you align with his values of how he does business. And that's really all I need to know about you to know that you'll be here, you'll be present, you'll take notes, and you'll be open to the ideas that I have to share. And like Chris said, this is going to be a series. And so I really kind of just designed this first kind of talk to kind of wet our feet, to work with some definitions, to dispel some myths, to also make it feel approachable because I love social, but the ability for us to fall victim to comparisonitis in the age of social and having like the world's information in the palm of our hand can really just help us or hinder us in freezing up and getting analysis by paralysis and being overwhelmed. And so I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed because I know you won't take action and then you won't see results and then you'll beat yourself up and then it's just this like vicious cycle. So my intention today is to just kind of walk through some fundamentals. I have a challenge at the end. Chris probably is not surprised that I have a challenge for you guys, but it's easy. It's only a 5-day challenge. I'm not going to make you go live for 30 days, but I might by the end of our time together. So we'll see. Um, but I'm going to get into it. And one thing that I'll say too, before I kind of go forward and share what I've put together for us, is permission to drop anything in the chat, like whether it's a question or a comment, permission to hop off mute and interrupt me. I won't take it personally. This is for you. I tailored this as much as possible for each of you here. But if you have a question, ask it. There's like no dumb questions. Hi, Jocelyn, I love your co-pilot. No dumb questions, only dumb hesitation. Because waiting has zero ROI for you and for your business and life in general. So I just want to, the rules of the stage, you are allowed to interrupt and hop off mute. And as we are getting into it today, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So, I know this is part of our Social Surf series. I want to start off with really just level setting that you can really start strong wherever you're at. If you have 11 Instagram followers, if you have 371 Facebook friends, if you haven't updated your headshot in 5 years or 10, if you don't even know the difference between an Instagram story and an Instagram post, if the idea of posting on social terrifies you. Do we have any introverts in the room? Show of hands. Peyton nodding his head. All right, Peyton and I are going to be BFFs here. Um, all right, I'm like toggling through to see all of you guys here. Okay, beautiful. So, this is what I really want to get into, and I want to get into branding specifically on social. Because brand is transcendent. It's really just anytime you have an interaction with a human. But we're going to talk specifically through the lens of social. And why branding for loan officers is because I know that a lot of folks on the call probably have to do a lot of cold emailing, a lot of cold calls. And the idea of doing a cold call terrifies me. So I'm in awe that anybody who's ever made a cold call has done that. I've been lucky in not having to do that because I've leaned into building my personal brand, and allowing it to do all of the objection handling for me, allowing it to build affinity and rapport, so that when I walk into the room, I don't have to introduce myself or convince somebody to want to work with me. I'll have amazing people like Chris introduce me and say, no, you need to, like right now, like just get your card out. Let me just save you some time and just swipe here, Like that's the type of um your name precedes you type of energy that branding can afford you this day and age. And you don't need to have a six-figure content team. You don't need to post 15 times a day, every day on 6 platforms. Like y'all probably really love me. I'm actually going to tell you to do less than any of the other gurus will tell you to do, and it will be more effective. Because a lot of people confuse branding with marketing, and they wonder why past clients go with the other guy rather than them. If you had a brand, there wouldn't be any other option but you. But if all you were doing was marketing and bombarding them with content and calls and texts and emails, then if that you're not for them, you're not their guy, and they're going to go with somebody else if it's more convenient, timely, or relevant. And another big kind of challenge or myth that I see is that people confuse being visible online with being authoritative, which and then thinking that that will generate revenue for their business. It's a big misnomer. You don't need millions of followers to do well online. I've worked with clients that have 500, 600 followers and they're generating business off of social. So I want to dispel that myth. I don't even have 10,000 followers. And I'm well into 6 and 7 figures in my business. And granted, I'm in a different industry, but I've seen it work in real estate. I've seen it work in mortgage. And it's possible for you guys. And I put this slide in, but I should have known better that Chris would have done an amazing job introducing me. I'm a civilian. I will be the first to say that. I'm not a loan officer, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm technically a college dropout. But I understand humans, I understand people, and I understand how to develop a brand wherever you are in your journey. I have a podcast that I recommend everybody listen to because it's basically free content that you can listen to when you're in the carpool lane, when you are working out at the gym, when you are knocking out contracts late at night. Like, take advantage of the free content. It's vast. There's 250 episodes there. I'm also curious if there are any other Drop it in the chat if you are. I'm a child of an immigrant, daughter and granddaughter of immigrants. I'd love to know if there's anybody else that shares that in common with me. I know I look like a white girl, but I have a um, very diverse background, and it really informs my perspective. Chris says yes. And it's huge. It's a big part of my brand and what makes me me. And we're going to get into understanding how to pull out these different elements to make you distinct, to rise above the noise, because I understand that originating loans is far more of a volume game than it is to sell homes from a real estate agent perspective. So being able to differentiate and stand out so that you can garner that volume and achieve your income goals and provide for your family is really, really important. And so I don't take that lightly, and I want to truly be of service for all of you here today. So let's get into um, some stats. Because I appreciate, I think it was Mr. Scoma who said somebody of this caliber. Thank you, sir, for that compliment. I really appreciate that. I also know that the statistics will help you believe it even more and pay attention. Um, there are so many different ways to measure the impact of branding. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'll drop my Instagram in there. In a bit. Social is one of them. So we're going to be focusing on social, but I want you to understand that that is one touch point that you can leverage, and that there are far more ways to generate ROI in addition to what you're doing on social. So if social doesn't immediately pay off for you, if you don't immediately get a client within a week or two of us, being a part of this mastermind series, I don't want you to think it's the end of the world. And in fact, the platforms that have the most ROI, you have access to. And they're not like a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha because they exist now. They're apparently in high school. I think, Chris, your kids are technically Gen Alpha, which is crazy. My stepdaughter's like on the borderline of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. You have access to email. Everybody knows how to use email, and you have plenty of opportunity to generate ROI from there. And the big thing that you're probably going to be so annoyed with me by the end of our time together is how much I'm going to hammer in the story and really want you to lean into building that storytelling muscle. Because pre-internet, you could maybe use the excuse of, I'm not great at storytelling, but you can Google and YouTube your way into figuring that out. I'm pretty sure loan officer school didn't teach you how to be a loan officer either, just taught you how to like stay within the lines and stay within compliance. Um, Storytelling is going to be a huge, huge differentiator. And I see so many people sleeping on that. And there's some simple frameworks. We're going to go over that in future sessions, but it really helps boost your value. It really helps boost your credibility. It helps increase your conversion rates. And people want story. They want personal. They want to feel special, especially when they're bombarded. Lisa says, nope, how to pass out rate sheets. Good the night take. There we go, Lisa, with the old school. Um, uh, and I think, this day and age, personalization is underrated because it takes a little bit more time to be personal. But then I go back to what I wanted to share with you at the beginning of this is that less is going to be more in 2025, truly. Um, okay. I would like to, before I pop to the next slide, have everyone in the chat drop the two platforms or even just one social platform that you're most comfortable and active on. So if it's one, that's fine. Remember, less is more. So we're not going to feel bad about only being on one. I'm really only mainly on one, truly. Because I just want to get a set of where we're at. So we got Instagram and Facebook, Alma with Facebook, Braxton, Insta, and TikTok. Ooh, TikTok. We're going to get into TikTok. Chris, Instagram and LinkedIn. That tracks as a team leader and industry titan. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. Okay. Lots of Facebook. I would say the majority of you have Facebook in common. Fabio, of course, you're on TikTok, but also you have a lot of Instagram in common. Okay. This is good to know. What I'm going to tell you right now is that you can tackle two platforms well and be doing enough. Um, if you're trying to manage more than two without a full-time content manager, you're spreading yourself too thin and you're leaving money on the table. So if you've been trying like, oh, I'll just repost or I need to be on all the platforms. No, we need to be where the people are, like Little Mermaid style, and to be there more consistently and more personably so that people actually feel like we're talking to them and you can connect with them and you can make a dent in that digital landscape. Now, when it comes to what branding is and what branding is not, this is probably a screenshot worthy page for everyone here because so many people misunderstand and think that they have to do more to actually develop a brand that is going to increase conversion, increase loyalty, increase profitability, lower their customer acquisition cost, all of those measurable, tangible things. But a brand is a lot like love, honestly, than like a tactic. There's a reason people pay 10x for the same product if it's a brand name versus generic, right? We see that when we go to the grocery store, when we go to the drugstore. Advil is one price and ibuprofen is another, but it's the same product. Benadryl versus diphenhydramine, Dior versus the knockoffs on Canal Street in Soho, New York. And what a brand is really about is how you make people feel through your interactions, through the stories you tell, how you're different. Me not just being a brand consultant, but me being third culture, nursing school dropout, start out founder, former agency owner, firstborn daughter, like dog mom, like all of these different things that make me a real three-dimensional human being that get people to connect with you through common ground. Branding is also an invitation. It is not a pitch. And if you think about when you feel how you feel when you get invited to something, like that's a great feeling. Maybe you don't want to say yes, but it's still nice to be invited. Like that's such a human thing. And I want you to think about anytime you put content out, you're not putting it out, you're offering it as an invitation to connect. That mindset shift is the difference between developing a brand moment that's going to be sticky and help you stand out than just marketing to somebody and creating awareness. It's also co-created. So I have an idea in my head of what my brand is. I'm sure each of you do, or even if you don't, you do already have one. Now you're going to be crafting it intentionally moving forward from today. But I want to call out too, like how Chris was introducing me on the beginning of this call. He has an idea of my brand in his head, and it overlaps a lot with the idea that I have in my head, which is great. He called out the leather jacket energy immediately when I hopped on. I was like, I can't not show up with that. Um, but it's a co-creative process, which I think makes things feel a little bit easier because then it's not all on you. Like they're participating in it. The people who are right for you want to see you succeed. They want to be in business with you. They want to say your name in the room when you're not there. And it's a long-term asset because I can't predict what is going to happen in the next year or 4 years or 20 years. But if you still want to be in the game, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the noisier it gets, the more crowded it gets. Brand is going to be the thing that keeps you buoyed above everybody else. So I want you to pay attention to this. And this is just really being a human. If you think about it, and not being a machine, and knowing that you build the brand, the business will take care of itself. That's the order of operations. And that is how you can stand out. That is how you can be different. It is not ripping off and duplicating. It's not a pitch. It's not a quick fix. Um, is this tracking, guys? Is this making sense what it is and what it is not? Okay. So before we get into kind of some examples here, I want to talk about some lessons to
Wait,
remember.
can I ask a quick question? Do you mind?
Please. Yes.
So when you went back to being your authentic self and not being a machine and stuff like that, I
Yeah.
had heard, like, I love that you said it's not logo, colors, website, image, it's all that stuff. I'd heard that
Yeah.
more raw video is more impactful again
Mhm.
than something edited. Is that
Yeah.
correct or not correct?
Yeah. Great question, Lisa. Thank you for asking it. And I would say we just only have to look at how much TikTok has taken over to know that unedited is what people gravitate toward. Being able to hop on social, whatever platform it is, and to feel like you're FaceTiming a friend through the phone screen is so much more powerful than feeling like your friend is in this like hyper produced, hyper designed with stock music and stock imagery. You're like, who is that person? I don't know that person. Now, there's a fine line between being personable, which I am in sharing these details of my life with you, and to being like TMI cringeworthy. We can I'm going to incorporate that now, knowing that you're asking that question, into a future session, because it is a fine line and we want to be authentic. And I think you called out authenticity, Lisa. The definition for me for authenticity, there's Brene Brown's definition, which I love. You can Google and look that up after this call. But my definition in this day and age, through the lens of social branding, is when the cameras are rolling and when they're not rolling, you're the same person, more or less. Like when Chris and I would have our consulting sessions, or we met at Forward, or when he came to DC for an event and we went and got dinner, on 14th Street, I was more or less talking the same way that I'm talking to all of you. I might have slightly better posture because I know I'm on camera and I'm trying to like present well, and that's like my ballet background. But keeping in mind, like anytime you pick up that phone, you're FaceTiming a friend. You're talking to your best friend. Now, if you don't want to swear, like that's something you can, make a call or do a lot of inside jokes. But honestly, like however you are, you're gonna shine and be the most magnetic the more that you are yourself. And I know a lot of people, has anybody heard this, that like social is a one-to-many platform? We've heard that. No, we haven't heard that? Okay. I used to hear that a lot, that it's like film one reel, have 800 conversations if you have like 800 views, right? And I'll be fully honest, I used to think that was true. I've changed my mind now because I started to realize and notice when and where my partner would be on social media. He loves the short text. That's his platform of choice. He just goes down and watches all the YouTube shorts. Um, and it would be when he was sitting on the couch, when he was getting his morning coffee, and it was just him and the phone and him looking at it. And I would look at my phone when I was by myself too, and it was just me, myself, and I and the phone screen. Social is not a one-to-many platform. It's a one-to-one platform. And when you are creating content, sometimes I've seen clients freeze up thinking that, oh my God, I have to get this right. It has to be perfect because thousands of people are going to see it. Thousands of people don't watch your reels in a room together talking shit about you behind your back. Like they're not. They maybe watch it for like a fraction of a second and they're like, boop, onto the dog content. So if you just imagine that you're talking to one person, that's it. Like it's a FaceTime conversation. The platform just happens to be social. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Kyle says, "Hey guys, Kyle here, loan officer." Kyle, we'll get into story pitching in a bit. We're gonna workshop that for sure. But I think those are a lot of the mindset shifts I want you to have going into this and approaching this differently. And so let's get into just more of these branding lessons, right? We talked about confusing visibility with authority. I have seen clients, I have even received feedback. Some of my reels, you go to my Instagram, there are some reels that have thousands of views. There's some reels that have like 200 views. The 200 view reels are the ones that clients bring up in my sessions with me. And they're like, that made an impact, or that made me hire you. That made me want to reach out to you. So honestly, I get excited. I was like, ooh, that only got 200. Who's the person that I hit? And that they're going to come back and like, I made an impact, because less is more and more is not always only more. And the other thing too, branding lesson that I will say here, Loan Depot has a very strong brand from my perspective. Chris Medellin, you're very like, from what I have seen, everything that he has done, that also helps you. But like a rising tide, you will be stronger if you also invest in developing your own personal brand. There is more than enough business to go around. There is more than enough. The right people can't miss you if you are being yourself. They're probably skating on past you if you're hiding yourself because they can't see you. They don't know you. They don't know that you're the one for them. So of course they're going to go with the other guy that happened to call them at the right time when the raindrops were like aligned and they got them on the phone. But you need to look at it as an and situation. There's Loan Depot, there's Chris Medellin, and then there's you. And that will be a really, really powerful trifecta. And then the next lesson that I want you to remember, this is a big one. This challenges a lot of like limiting beliefs, is you try to be for everyone, but you resonate with no one. And you see this in people not emailing you back, not responding to your text messages. You leave voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. Your reels or your Facebook posts might get a certain amount of views, but there's no conversation going on in the comment section. My goal every time I put out a piece of content is to have a conversation with a human being in the comment section, just a public conversation. If I do not generate a meaningful conversation with somebody else, for me, that piece of content fell short. I don't even look at the likes or the views. I do look at the saves, because that tells me that it was valuable enough for somebody who wants to save to come back to. But I want to see a conversation. And like I'll use like a life analogy too at this. If you're in a relationship, I I would bet money that you weren't trying to like date every single person all the time immediately yesterday, 5 minutes ago, like to get into that relationship. You were very specific about what you wanted. You had a list. I have a list. Career oriented, kind, generous, good looking, because like, I'm human after all. But like you have a specific list when you look for a partner in your life. You need to treat your client with the same type of specificity and care and attention. The more specific you are, the more business you'll generate. It will not lose you business. I guarantee you. Being generic is costing you money. You're going to have people that reach out to you when you do develop a brand. You're going to say, "Hey, I know you're based in Hawaii, but like I've got a girlfriend in Oregon and she's looking for some help. Like, is there any way you can help her? Do you know somebody who can?" And it won't be because you talked about living in Hawaii that I'm referring you to somebody in Oregon. It'll be because I like you as a human being and we have shared values and common ground. And I remember that emotional connection. And it's going to supersede the logic of, well, I don't see them post about Oregon. And it's going to override that because emotion trumps logic every single time. The biological loop and why branding is such a cheat code is because branding speaks to your beliefs and your values as a human. Those activate emotion. Emotion gets people to take an action because everybody buys emotionally and they justify logically thereafter. And then when they take an action, they get a result. So if you don't like the results you're seeing in your business, you just need to reverse engineer. What's the emotion that you're activating and how are you activating that emotion? Either through sharing stories, embodying your values, and we'll get into the who's and how to's of how to do all of that. But that's the cheat code because every single human being, regardless of wealth status, educational background, marital status, how many children they have, what their hobbies are, if they're human, they operate off of this biological cheat code. And that's why branding gets you ahead of the other guy because they're marketing with the facts and the features and the benefits, but that doesn't get people to move, doesn't get them to feel anything. Is that making sense? Okay. Love it. To demonstrate that, let's talk about, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's very tiny text, but these are two different Instagram posts. One's a reel, one's a post that talk about a new property that just came to market. Now, this is a real estate example. Making them take action you want them to take. Yes, exactly. You don't like the result, look at the emotion. What emotion are you activating? That's it. It's so clear and easy once you know that that's the path. So if we're looking at these two examples, I'll be fully transparent and biased. The client A is my client. This is an example though, but let's look at this. So this is a property that's brought to market, right? One's an Instagram reel that says point of view. You always wanted a secret home in your room. Who always wanted a secret home in their room growing up? Like a Harry Potter, like escape route, like secret attic, like Lion Witch in the Wardrobe energy? Like, yes. So cool, right? I still want that. It's on my next wish list, right? I'm going to ding him for saying nestled because that's how I know he started this with ChatGPT. I hate the word nestled. It shows up. Please delete the word nestled from any of your marketing language. But he talks about the secret library that was contained within this room. And he's not even telling you, like, there's no outside view, there's no perfectly photographed image of this home. But he says, POV, your point of view, you always wanted a secret home in your room. Can somebody name what emotion that might be activating or speaking to? Either hop off mute or drop it in the chat. What's the emotion that's activated with that text on screen?
Curiosity, excitement.
Curiosity, yes, absolutely. Excitement, I know. Wonder. What else? Jumanji. Kyle, why Jumanji? Come off mute. That's a great answer.
Just takes you to a whole new world. So that was more of a joke, but at the same time, like that's where your mind goes.
But
Like
was
this,
it? Freud said there's no
yeah.
such thing as jokes. So, you know. Um, so Kyle, Jumanji. Has anybody seen the movie Jumanji? Show of hands. Yeah. Uh, Jumanji was what it called to action, but the emotion is nostalgia. That, right? It's nostalgic and it's curiosity, right? Because you want to see what's behind the door. When was the last time you watched Jumanji, Kyle?
At least 3, 4 years, probably.
Okay. What
But
was the
yeah,
first
to
time you
that point,
watched
it's
it?
the childhood memory, of wonder, mystery, excitement.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
You also might get eaten by like a python. That could happen, right?
Or run
Uh,
over by a stampede. Then we're getting into the
yes.
Lion King, and then that's a whole other emotion.
Yes, it is indeed. Experience, Juan says experience, adventure. Yes. Curiosity, excitement. It activates that, right? And you said Jumanji. Nostalgia was the first emotion I had in my mind. Curiosity, yes, but nostalgia is so powerful. Now you contrast that with this house, and this house is beautifully photographed. It's in fall time. It has a blue door. It's got four windows that I see, a chimney. Um, and the caption says it's a must see. Charming Cape Cod home in Morris Farm. Now, the way that I always do a gut check, and you can do this with each of your captions. You can after this call, this will be an interesting exercise to go through each of your captions on your Instagram or on your Facebook and see how many could be copy and pasted to one of your colleagues' posts. If it can be copy and pasted and still make sense by somebody else, it's not original enough. It's not you enough. Because this caption, so and so location is a must see. Charming Cape Cod. Like I'm thinking of HGTV, but I'm thinking of how many charming Cape Cods are there? Like, are they really that charming? In Morris Farm area, 3 bed, 2 bath, one partial bath, 1,500 square feet. This is marketing. B is an excellent example of marketing because it's marketing to the features and benefits of and facts of the property. But that's not going to get me to do anything. Um, it'll check the boxes, but like if I don't feel something, I'm not going to reach out. And if this could be copy and pasted and exist on anybody's profile, how memorable is it really? You want to be memorable. You want to speak to the story. You want to evoke emotion. You evoke emotion, I know your engagement rates and your conversion rates will go up. I'll put money on that. I don't know how much money. We'll talk later, but so I don't want to go bankrupt with how well you guys are going to be doing after this. But that's the difference. Is always think before you post a piece of content, even if it's just an Instagram story, pause and say, what's the emotion I want people to feel when they tap onto my story or this pops up in their feed? Emotion is value, right? We're emotional creatures. You get somebody to feel an emotion, that is a form of value as much as sharing what the current rates are or what current loan products you have to be able to help somebody to get into a home. Everybody else is sticking to that definition of value, which is great. It works, but it's a grind. Emotional value is just as important. If only it were nestled in Cape Cod. Yeah, Lance. Permission revoked. Nobody can use the word nestled or oasis. I'm so over seeing the oasis. Like, no, unless you're in Egypt telling me about an oasis, you're not allowed to say oasis. Okay. Along the trend of copy and pasting, if I were to look at everybody's feed on Instagram, maybe not Facebook, because Facebook, we've all been on there long enough to develop relationships and rapport and generate business off of that. But if we're talking about Instagram specifically, would I know that it was you if I looked at your feed? If I wouldn't know that it was you, not going to remember you. I'm not going to want to call you back. I'm going to like pull the millennial thing of like leave a voicemail that I'll never listen to and maybe I'll text you back later. But people scan hero sections on websites. I think it's like 7 to 8 seconds. It's less than 3 for an Instagram profile. You have less than 3 seconds to make a dent. to make an impression. And the reason why I want you to lead more with your face in those first three posts, most importantly, because that's like kind of the above the fold impression, is not because I'm an egotistical maniac, is not because I want you to be vain, is not because I think that you're the greatest thing in the world and everybody needs to know about you and it's all about you. No, none of that is true. The reason why I want to see your face more is because biologically, people will stay on a profile longer if they see a human being's face. It's literally just another biological cheat code. That's all. They will stay longer. They will connect longer. We are hardwired to look for other human beings' faces. It's why Chris said at the beginning of this call, please turn on your camera. That way I can connect with you and not just like speak into like a black faceless void. It gives you a sense of grounding. And people can tell, to Lisa's question of authenticity. You see Taya, she's one of my good friends here, real estate agent. She's been doing video for, gosh, 10, 12 years now. But you see her eyebrows raised. You see her kind of like really face, like really. No stock imagery. And it's unique to her. Again, if you're using the same stock imagery as everybody else, it's not going to be memorable. It takes courage, I'll name that, to put your face out there, because then, like, the trolls come out from under the bridge, but we don't feed the animals and it will be fine. I've had trolls, I've dealt with them. The trolls will always be there. Okay. I want to move now into talking about ideal client. And before I kind of like invite a few of you to hop off mute here, I would like you to infer the screen grab on the left is from a real estate agent's website out of Florida, obviously with the palm trees. And then this screen grab on the right is also a real estate agent's website. One is, both are on their homepages. And I'd love for you to hop off mute and tell me who's the ideal client for the real estate agent on the left-hand side, based on the language, based on the imagery you see.
Wealthy person.
I would say retiree. Retiree.
Luxury buyer who doesn't want to deal with anything.
Okay. Somebody retiring, somebody wealthy, somebody who doesn't want to, right? They want it done. They want it turnkey. What else? What else about the language? Delegate the details so you can live the dream. What type of person delegates the details?
A CEO, business owner, somebody that's been, they want to relax and let everybody else do the work because they worked hard for it to get to that position.
They did. And they want to
They
enjoy
want to
it.
show up. They want to show up for dinner. They don't want to make the dinner.
Ah, yes, Walt. I also have that in common with this ideal client because I cannot even season ramen, according to my hubs, who is a chef. You're right. CEO, delegate the details so you can live the dream. They've worked hard. They're retiring. They've earned that right. They want to relax. This is the view that they want. And they don't want to deal with any of the details. Now, the other picture looks like self-storage building. Lisa, love it. You're right. I did not pay Lisa to say that, guys. No, you're right on the money. This first example on the left, this real estate agent exclusively works with Northeast, Snowbird, retiring CEOs and C-suite executives looking to retire in the Fort Myers and Naples area. Like that is the only, like anybody else who gets referred to him, it has to be of a certain price point or within a certain driving distance, or he refers it out. I know. He's worked very hard, but like this messaging that we worked on this last spring, and he's fine with that. Like he makes the referral income. And again, I know the volume and the numbers are different from real estate to mortgage, but I want to invite you to start to really think about if you could just wave your magic wand and have 50 of one type of client pop up in your inbox tomorrow. What would be your version of the C-suite executive for this real estate team? Because if we look at the screen grab on the right, like Lisa was saying, she took the words right out of her mouth. I thought it was like self-storage too. I was like, find your next home. What can we even infer who the ideal client is for this real estate agent on the right-hand side? Like, are there any clues? Millennial. That's generously so, although I can see that. I will buy that. It could be a millennial for sure. Young professional, first time home buyer. Okay. Anyone. Yeah. Anyone looking for their next home. So next home wouldn't be first time home buyer, Chris, right? It would be somebody who's upgrading or buying a second time. Or they could be renting and thinking of that as their home, and then maybe they want a home. Could be an investor. Well, would the investor live there though? Would they identify about that? No kids, execs, travels, wants no work. Yeah, it looks like balconies, high rises, low maintenance. I'm not there. I don't want to deal with it. But the danger in not danger, I don't want to use that and like activate the fear complex. The risk to doing this is that you're going to attract anyone and everyone under the sun. And while more might sound better, I'm sure that there are clients that drain the out of your energy. And you're just like, this is not even worth it. This is not even worth the points I'm making. Like, can I pay this person to go away? Like, I have been in that situation with agency clients where I should have said no. And I said yes, and I paid the price. The more specific, the more magnetic. So figuring out your niche, and you're not going to figure this out in one day, but this is like, if I had to name the biggest problem or the best opportunity you had to get super laser specific and effective on social while not having to do everything that Gary Vee and Alex Hormozy tell you to do, it would be answering this question. Because if you answer this, you'll know exactly who you're talking to when you pull up your phone as if you're FaceTiming them, and you'll know what needs to be said. When the real estate team knows that they're putting out content, it's putting in front of a CEO type personality that's probably a high D on the DISC assessment, they know that they don't need to know the details. They need to know the big picture. They need to know what it's going to cost them, and they need to know the next best step. That's all that their ideal client wants to know. And we'll get into personality assessments and how to weave in that language too into social. But that's it. Okay. Keeping an eye on time here. Let's talk about the 3 pillars of personal branding. This is my framework. This is what I have seen work. This is my own leather jacket energy flavor of it. You need all 3, similar to Ikigai, where you need all 4. Purpose. You got to have a purpose. Because, like, I have been very humbled about how difficult each of your professions are, how difficult it is to be a real estate agent. Been very humbled as a civilian. And I know that if you don't have the purpose, the paycheck doesn't even matter. So know the purpose. Who are you here for? Why are you here beyond the paycheck? Because that's what's going to fuel you on the days that suck. When like the rates don't change, when they don't qualify for that product, when the funding does fall through, when something happens in their family or changes their financial situation randomly out of left field from when you started working with them. Like, you got to know the purpose. And you got to be present. People can't know to work with you if you're not visible and there for them. 2 platforms. Instagram and Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. If any of you want to niche in on working with executives, I would recommend considering LinkedIn in 2025. You can really easily filter out by profession, by region, by even job title, not just industry there. But you need to be present. And I need to see that your bio, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, says exactly who you help with a friendly, updated headshot. We don't want catfish situations here. And you need to participate. Social is not set it and forget it. Your business is not set it and forget it. I'm not asking you to do a ton. We're going to start with a 5-day challenge here, but you need to participate. Like, life is a contact sport. It's a team sport. Mortgage, being at the mercy of the rates, the economy, the political landscape, people's professional and financial lives. Like, it's a contact sport. You got to participate and have that purpose, because that at the intersection is your brand. That's the thing that pulls people in. It's the center of gravity. And it doesn't take a lot to build it, but it does take consistency. One story a week. What social media guru has told you you only have to post one story a week to make an impact? You can do it. We'll work up to one a day. We'll get there. And then I'm going to have you guys be going live on Instagram eventually at some point. Maybe we'll see. I see lots of people smiling. I don't want to scare you guys on day one. Okay. Let's talk about the aligned action list. Do we have to? One day is a lot. One a day is a lot. Not right now. I mean, Lisa, you don't have to do anything. We'll work up to it. I want you to start with one a week. We'll get to it. One a day is a lot, but it's easier when you know who you're talking to. So this is kind of what I want you guys to journal on and send to me or send to Chris between now and our next session, because we're going to have our next session a couple weeks from now. Really define the one person you serve, knowing it's not going to lose you out on business. I promise you, it will not lose you on business. What makes you different? I need to know something about you that I can't Google. I don't care where you live. I don't care how long you've been in the business. I need something that I can't Google about you. That's what's going to make you different, make you 3D. And one line that communicates a value. I'm not giving you the framework yet because I want to see what we come up with here, but that's going to be the ingredients of your purpose. And then knowing your online presence. So we're going to do audits on the next call, which is going to be fun, but I'm giving you guys a head start on how to improve and make changes now. But looking at your bio, your visuals, your messaging across your 2 platforms, refining it. Definitely take a picture of this. And then show up consistently where your ideal clients are. Another kind of exercise to further get clear, well, where are the ideal clients? Because I know this is kind of, branding is nebulous and fuzzy until it makes sense and you have the light bulb moment, and then you never go back to like marketing yourself the same way again. I would ask yourself, who are the favorite clients that you worked with? We all have favorites, even if we don't admit it. Like we do. I have favorites. Chris is a favorite. It's one of the reasons why I'm here. Ask your favorite clients in the last year, where do they hang out online? Where do they spend their time? No matter how much money in the bank account, I guarantee you they spend somewhere online. They might have like a burner account because they don't want to be like, they're like, I'm too lowly to be publicly known and seen on Instagram. Like if you deal with ultra high net worth individuals, they're still on there. Ask them where they hang out. Ask them what type of content they love to engage with on a regular basis. A really easy way to know what to say and what to put out there is to ask the people who already enjoyed working with you and to give them more of that. That's it. You don't need a new template, new tactic, new strategy. Just give the people what they want. You already have clues and evidence of people who have enjoyed working with you. So let that inform where you are going to show up and what you're going to say. This carousel that I did, 17, that would be a lot. Well, now you can do that with 20 slides on a carousel, but 7 Japanese techniques to enhance focus. Because even though I talk about personal branding, I had so many clients showing up to my session saying they hadn't gotten shit done because they were so exhausted, spent, running on low battery mode. And I was like, oh, I need to help you focus more. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how smart I am when it comes to branding. You're not going to do anything. So boom, what did I do? And then this got like 16 or 17 saves. The idea came from my clients. My best performing content since I started doing this about like a year or so ago comes from my clients, not because I'm so smart, but because I pay attention and I just give them what they want. I don't try to think I'm smarter than them because I'm not. I'm here to serve them. You're here to serve your clients. Crowdsource your content. It makes it easy. Oops, we're going ahead. Just kidding. Okay, you didn't see any of that. This is recorded, but you didn't see any of it. Okay. Definitely take a screenshot of this. Okay, what I want to talk about, and I want to keep an eye on time here, is your challenge. Now, Lisa, I know you said one a day is a lot, but this is what, oh wait, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. What branding looks like for you guys. These are the ingredients that I want you to think about. It is not just the content you put out there. And in fact, 4 of the main ingredients have nothing to do with your content. They have to do with your face, your voice, your story, and then your content. But those first three are what make the last one really impactful because people need to trust you. If they don't trust you, they're not going to do business with you. People react on tone because tone is laced with emotion. And what does emotion do? It gets people to act. Your story makes you relatable. It does not matter how smart you are or how experienced you are or how many millions or billions in loan originations you have done if nobody feels warm enough to you to want to talk to you. You must find ways to be relatable that doesn't compromise your authenticity. That's the balance. Relatability. And then your content. Value, both emotional and logical. Both. Not one, not the other. Because we need one to get people to act and the other to build authority and credibility. Does this make sense? Okay. The challenge now is going to be a social story challenge. So I think every single person that put in the chat is at least on Instagram or Facebook or both. Those are one of your two main platforms. So either on Facebook stories or Instagram stories. And if you're on Instagram stories, you can reshare to Facebook stories. I do that. This is the challenge I want you to do for the next 5 days. And I'm going to have you start it because sometimes starting the thing is the hardest part of the thing because when we don't start, we like build it up in our head and we make it this big, big thing. And then we just never start and we like think it needs to be perfect. And it's, you all know the rabbit hole. We've all been down that rabbit hole. I want everybody to take a picture of this screen right now with their phones. And I think I saw Alma or somebody on the, if they're joining on your phone, just do a screenshot, right? Tap the power volume or volume and whatever that is to get a screenshot. Once you take a picture, I'm going to do it too because Chris knows I lead by example. You can take a picture of the screen. And then each of you, this is day 0 of the challenge. You're going to share it on your Instagram and or Facebook story. You're going to tag Chris. You're going to tag me. And you're going to say, kicking off a social branding mastermind to better serve my clients, or adopting a lifelong learner's mindset, or, coming together with our team to learn from the best so that we can serve our clients best. People really love it. I'm a civilian. Like I'm one of your ideal clients. I love it when I see the person that I entrust some of the biggest life decisions to is also constantly learning and evolving and bettering themselves. It's a kind of BTS behind the scenes type of I'm walking the walk of the talk I talk type of moment. People love that. They eat it up. And then bonus points, if you want to add like a story sticker, if you're doing this on Instagram, you can do like a question box and you can say, what's one new thing you learned this week? Guarantee you will get responses because you're not talking about mortgages at all. You're talking about just being a human and having conversations. So I should have, how many people are on here? 31 minus me, 30 tags. Chris and I should see 30 tags in the next 10, 15 minutes, but that's day 0. 5-day social story challenge. And the reason why I want you to start with this challenge is because many of us learn by doing. I could give you all the keys to the kingdom, but it's not going to make an impact unless you actually start doing things and noticing things. When you show up and do try to share a story and you're like, well, how do I start? Where do I start? Did I do it right? But then when we come back together in 2 weeks, I want to ask you how this went for you. And we're going to collect data and we're going to understand, oh, Kat, yeah, this part of sharing the story was really, really easy, but this is where I got hung up. And then sharing before and after transformations, busting a myth, all of that. So I want you to do
Kat, will you take this down real quickly? I just want to see your face on the screen real quick.
take what down?
Take this 5-day social.
Oh, yeah.
Like, stop sharing because we can get you back up.
Oh, perfect.
All right. So a couple of things, guys, because we're running out of time here, Kat.
Yes.
First off, thank you. Because when we can get someone like you to come out and share with us, it's super cool. And like you're busy, and the fact that you took time to do this. So guys, by not doing this, it's like slapping a gift out of Kat's hand to take her time. So she's asking you for the easiest thing to do. So engage in it, try something. And if you're stuck, reach out to us because I'd love to help you with it. But this is a series, and some of you are dealing with fires right now. And if you are like really trying to pay attention, it was really hard because in the middle of the day, we recorded this for you. So we're gonna resend this out. But please tag her and I because that engagement tells us that we're doing the right thing. And if you guys will do us with one favor, type in a one in the chat if you thought this was valuable today. And if you think it's valuable, then give us a one. And if anybody has any feedback about this, DM me, just hit me up or just, send me a Teams or something. But Kat, thank you so much. And we're going to keep giving you guys more and more value like this. And we're super lucky to get Kat. So this was amazing for me. I learned so much today. And so thank you so much, Kat, for doing this. And for everybody else who took time out of your busy days to be on here, thank you guys for giving us your time today. Hope everybody has a great day. And we'll see you guys at the next Social Surf. Take care,
See you
everyone.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.